Let us talk about deadweight loss of monopoly. So, supposedly, if you are given this function, this demand function is given to you. This is the AR function of monopoly, and you're also given you can derive the MR curve. Okay, let me just name both of them. This is the AR curve of monopoly, and this is the MR curve. Okay, now supposedly, if the MC curve is this, this is the MC equal to AC curve. Now, in case if the structure which I have just defined is for a perfectly competitive industry, then in that case, equilibrium would have been defined at this point, where price is equal to MC. Let me just name this point as A. At this point, price is equal to MC. Clear? And what is the amount which is going to be produced at this point? The amount which is going to be produced at this point is this. Let me just pick one. So this is, let me just name this as QC. Okay, and this one is named as P star. Fine. Well, in case if the structure is for a monopoly, then in that case, equilibrium would have been defined at point B. At B, as you could see, not P, your MR is equal to MC. Clear? And the amount which is going to be produced in this case is given by this amount, which is say QM. So if this were a perfectly competitive industry, the amount which was produced is QC, while if this were a monopoly, the amount which was produced is QM, and the price which this monopolist is going to charge is given by this AR curve here. Okay, this AR curve here, and this is given by P double star, say P double star here. Okay, let me just name this point as C. Now, if this market was perfectly competitive, the amount which you are going to produce is QC, and the price which you were charging is P star. If this market was monopoly, the amount which monopolist produced was QM, and the price which he was charging is P double star. Now this gap which you could see here, this gap here, okay, this gap between QC and QM, which you have just seen here, which is because of arrival of monopoly, this is the misallocation of resources which is brought by monopoly. This gap which has been created, which is, you could write QC minus QM, this is because of misallocation of resources due to monopoly. Okay, due to monopoly. Now, what has happened is, when earlier perfectly competitive industry was there, QC was produced. Now, in case of monopoly, QM is produced. So the amount of certain resources which were released by which were released by the arrival of monopoly is given by AQCQMB. Okay, that is this AQCQMB. This may be because what happens in perfectly competitive industry. There are many individuals, okay, or there are many firms. They're completely homogeneous firm. Now monopoly, what it will do? There is only one firm, so it may consolidate all the firms, okay, and it will want to operate through only that firm. So it might bring about certain closure down of some of the firms. Okay, so it will release this much inputs. These inputs it has released. Now, when the market was perfectly competitive, okay, then what was the consumer surplus? Consumer surplus was, say, given by, I should name this point also something. Let's say this point is E. Okay, consumer surplus in that case was given by consumer surplus in perfect competition. In this case was given by A P star E. This was the consumer surplus which was given. Now, in case of monopoly, what is the consumer surplus? Consumer surplus in case of monopoly is given by C P double star E. Okay. So, what is the total loss of consumer surplus? Loss of consumer surplus. Total loss of consumer surplus is P star A C P double star. This entire area. This is the total loss in consumer surplus, which is P star A C P double star. Okay. Now, as you could see, this P star A C P double star, it could be broken down into two areas. This is the entire area of the quadrilateral. P star A C P double star. This is the loss in consumer surplus because of arrival of monopoly. It could be broken down into two pieces. One is P star B C P double star. This is one area. And the other area is A B C. Now, as you could see here, this area is loss in consumer surplus. This area, this rectangle, P star B C P double star, this area is the transfer of income from consumer to monopoly. Okay, at least someone is benefiting. If consumers are not benefiting because of this area, at least monopolist is benefiting. So this is like income to monopolist. The question is, what about this area? This area ABC. Now this area is neither going to consumer because this consumer surplus has already been extracted, nor it is going to a monopolist. So what will happen? It means that this area is a complete loss to the society. Fine. See, earlier what is happening is that some part is given at least to someone. This part, of course, this is a part of the loss in consumer surplus, but this part is also going to monopolists. Somebody is benefiting in society. Because of the loss of this part, nobody is benefiting, neither consumer nor monopolist, and you call this part as deadweight loss. This part is the deadweight loss. Okay, this part is given to no one. Okay, this part, and you call this entire part as deadweight loss. Clear? Okay.